Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Balko, and today I wanted to do something a little bit special. This is going to be the last video I'm able to make before the launch of Baldur's Gate 3. There's still a lot of class videos I want to cover, so many things about character creation and races and multi-classing. There's just so much to talk about with D&D and how it's been implemented, and I'm actually really excited to dive into the game with all of you and see how Larian has done it and then share my thoughts. And I hope you're looking forward to that as much as I am to making those videos. And as a final farewell to the early access, let's talk about these first level spells and how they are going to support the various roles you're going to have in your party. Disclaimer: this is an entirely subjective list, and I do not want this to be confused with a character optimization video. This is just me sharing my thoughts about the spells that I enjoyed from early access. And also, because not every character and every role is necessarily going to be a spellcaster, although in my party they might actually be, I also decided to pick a few spells that weren't necessarily used by the role, but could be used by other characters to help support that role. So I may have cheated a little bit, but that's fine. Without further ado, let's dive right into the face. And for me, the best face spell in early access is Speak with Animals. This opens up so many more dialogue options, and without it, you just don't get to have as much dialogue. And if you're the face, you want to talk to things, everything's, all the things. So yeah, the Speak with Animals spell is going to get you there. Next up, talking about the Scout. So I'm cheating here because this isn't technically a first level spell, but Guidance is too good not to include in this list, and it's before first level spell, so I think that's fine, right? Guidance is going to let you get all those skill checks you need for opening locks, disabling traps, and being sort of that sneaky, skill monkey kind of character. It is super versatile, and it's not just for the Scout. It is useful for any of those non-combat roles, and it's absolutely a fantastic spell, so it had to make my list here. Next up, we have the Specialist, and I put Disguise Self here because there are some unique use cases. I don't want to go into too many spoilers here, but it's a cool spell. It has sort of non-combat uses, and you might want to play around with that one. For combat, let's talk about the Frontline. So for Frontline characters, absolutely, Shield of Faith is one of my favorite first level spells. Shield of Faith is a bonus action. It lets you use it and still take a full action on your turn, getting in there, being a frontline. It's going to increase your armor class by 2, which a decent frontline character that'll put you up to 20 AC at level 1, and that's going to be really hard for most of those early game enemies to hit, and that's exactly what you want for your frontline character. So a fantastic spell to help support your frontline there. Next up, for our Striker, this was actually a difficult decision for me. So obviously a lot of the early first level spells, there are plenty of spells that just do single target damage, and there are spells that might support a Striker more than others. So things like Hex or Hunter's Mark obviously were going around in my head, but the one that took the cake for me was Magic Missile. There's something special about Magic Missile. Maybe it's just the nostalgia factor, but I think it should be noted that because Baldur's Gate 3 shows the HP of your enemies, there is a special little secret buff to the way Magic Missile works. When you know that enemy has 1 HP left and you can send 1 missile their way and send a few missiles to another target, it makes the spell so much better. So for me, Magic Missile is perfect for that Striker role that wants to guarantee finishing off a single target and then even maybe working on the next one. So perfect spell for that. Next, for Blasters. There are a few point blank AoEs at first level. Nothing too impressive for Blasters. You really start picking it up a little bit into second and third level. But for first level spells, I found Thunderwave is a nice mix of both blasting and control. And there are so many amazing ledges littered around the map. So that extra fall damage means that Thunderwave tends to do a lot of heavy lifting, and it can be really fun. Even just hitting 2 enemies, it does guaranteed damage. It's a nice little AoE, and it's a really fun spell. This is definitely partly fun factors is influencing me here. I'm not going for the optimal tier list of spells you must take. It's more for the roles, what you like. So yeah, Thunderwave. It's fun. Big boom. Next up for support, this is maybe arguably a little bit more like, nah, this is the best one, and it's Bless. Bless is very good. It is an action, but it has a decent duration, so you can pre-buff this if you see an enemy up ahead that you know you want to engage. It affects 3 allies, and it lasts pretty well the whole fight. It is concentration, so you want to keep your Bless caster in the backline. Don't let them lose that concentration because you have so few spell slots early on. But it is going to add that D4 to all attack rolls, which is really impactful early game. You'll notice it right away on the math of your character. It just feels like your chance to hit jumps up a decent amount. And frequently, what it'll end up being mathematically is 1 or 2 hits that wouldn't have landed will land, and that'll feel really good as your support character. So Bless is a fantastic spell there. Next up, for a controller at first level, there is also only really one option here, and for me, it's Sleep. Sleep is the best first level spell arguably in the game, but it's also only the best at level 1. It does not scale well. It sort of anti-scales because as soon as enemies start getting more hit points, this spell is not going to be as effective. But for those first few levels, when you're hitting 1, 2, sometimes even 3 enemies and taking them completely out of the fight, it's a really impactful spell. It should also be noted that the AI in Baldur's Gate will prioritize using a shove action to wake up sleeping characters. And if you are really clever about thinking about which enemies you want to put to sleep, you can encourage enemies to go for silly runs to come wake up their friends. I highly recommend putting archers and scouts that are sort of out of position or in the flank that are way up on a ledge to sleep, and you'll watch their front line go running through your whole party trying to get to them to wake them up. It has some clever uses, and there is a use case later on in the game as well, because there are always going to be those scenarios where you see how many hit points an enemy has and you know they have exactly 23 hit points, and you're going to use your first level spell slot and you know it's going to land, and they're going to be taken out of the fight for a turn or two. So with the ability to see initiative perfectly and see the hit points of enemies, it's a fantastic control spell. And finally, the premier healing spell of Baldur's Gate 3, Healing Word. Yes, it's a bonus action, and it has a nice range. It's going to pick your allies up when they get knocked down and let them stay in the fight. This is a fantastic spell. It's always lets your healers have a bonus action that they can use. And as you get later into the game and you have a few extra spell slots going around, you don't even need to use it just for picking people up. Sometimes you can kind of just keep them from falling down in the first place, which is okay sometimes. But usually for healing, especially at low levels, it's way more efficient to save those spell slots as a quick pick-me-up. And that is my list of favorite first level spells from the early access of Baldur's Gate 3. So if you've made it to the end here, good for you. Thanks for watching. I really actually do appreciate the support. I'm super overwhelmed still. We blew way past the 1,000 sub goal that I had for the channel. I honestly, that was my New Year's goal. But no, we beat that by a long time. I really started making videos seriously in July. So, you know, that's been great. And I'm looking forward to making more content. So thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed, absolutely feel free to hit the sub button, give me a thumbs up, or share below in the comments what your favorite spells are. And if you're still here, you're the best. Catch you in the next one.